Part two. So, my first video might have been a little bit harsh about how self-hatred of ourselves and how we make other black people look bad. Might have been a little bit rough. But how many times do we go through things with our people? Let me start, for instance, color wheel. Light, dark, darker, darkest, extra dark. How many times do we do this? How many times do we fall into that category? And how many times do the dark-skinned people hate the light-skinned people more than the light-skinned people hate the dark-skinned? Because you have to remember, if you have light skin, it's more than likely you have some white ancestry as well as Native American ancestry, which I have. And when I was in school, as I've said in videos before, we had a race war in Rolling Moran when I was a kid. And we had other things. I was called a nigger at school at Burlington when I was a kid. I'm still ashamed of hitting the girl that did it. And I'm 44. I have never gotten over that, and I'm sure she's never forgiven me for it either. I wouldn't say I blame her because as a martial artist, I knew better. And I knew martial arts by the time that happened, because I was in the 3rd grade. But the problem is, excuse me, society has convinced some of us that we can do what we want, and without consequence. And those people are the people who turn right around and make it bad for all of the black people who try to be good pillars of society. Which, by the way, the good pillars of society are generally ones that get hemmed up most of the damn time because we look just like everyone else. So how do we fix this problem? Should we fix this problem? Can we fix this problem? Yeah, we can. But it starts with the person in the mirror. You know, you have to know how you act in society affects everyone in society. Now I'm going to say this, and again, I'm going to offend people. I'm going to offend more black people probably than white people, and probably more than Asian people or anybody else that matter. When black people hear something in the news, 50% of us, not 40, not 30, not 20, 50% of us, the people who try to act decent, the people who are decent, not act decent, but are decent and are good pillars in society, the first damn thing we say, why is this phone doing? It's going off. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Anyway, must have been from all that damn porn. Anyway, the first thing that we say when we hear something in the news is, Lord, don't let that person be black. When 9/11 happened, the first thing we said was, God, please don't let it be black. Don't let it be some black idiot that did this shit. And we were good. And then 2 black guys decided they wanted to put a hole in the car and start busting a cap in everybody's ass for no apparent reason other than we didn't have anything better to do. Well, the grown man convinced the young man that you're going to shoot these people. We're going to snipe motherfuckers from cars because we've got nothing better to do than shoot everybody. Whites, blacks, Asians. If they move, you kill them. And guess who put us back on the top of the chain? Those 2 idiots. And so every day since that, whenever something goes wrong, black people, I know I'm not the only one who be watching the news and be like, Lord, I don't care what just happened. Don't let that person be black. Because I know tomorrow, that's still fresh for everyone in the world, and I'm going to have to pay for it. If I want to go to China right now, I can't go without a lot of money. Because of the rich guys who went to China and fucked that up for everybody that's black. There's a little African dude that lives and speaks Mandarin or regular or whatever Chinese they speak. And he didn't chime in on that, but he did chime in on how blacks are treated in China versus how they're treated everywhere else, and how there's a small racial divide in China with black people. And then another person who was from Africa basically did the same thing about how Chinese are moving out of China and down into Africa. Let me get this 100% to all of you people, everybody out here in the world, everybody, racist people, non-racist people, no one on earth is rich enough to own the earth. You have the right to live wherever you want. If you want to move to another country and you pass their immigration laws and they accept you in, then whoever's there just has to deal with it. They don't have to like you, but they do have to deal with it because your government has accepted them in. If people want to move up here to America because it's a land of opportunity for everybody who's not American, then there's nothing we can do about it if they go through the right channels, get their immigration papers, be sworn in as American citizens, and have the same opportunities that we have or better because of the tax thing. But, you know, they have the right to move wherever they fucking want in the world. No one owns the earth. It is for everyone. And if you think you own the earth, then you should probably get on the first rocket to the moon and go live up there. You probably got enough money to pay for that. I'm pretty sure no one's really going to want to come terraform the earth for you. So if you want to buy the earth, or the moon rather, excuse me, then you need to pay people to get in a shuttle and go live on the moon for a few years to see if you can actually colonize the motherfucker like they did in The Martian. Pretty good movie, by the way. Anyway, moving on. We as black people, we need to cut that bullshit out. Oh, you were looking at me, but you're not all the way black, James. So you don't have this issue. I have it just as bad, if not worse. I've always had it just as bad, if not worse. I've had reverse racism from black people. I've had more racism from blacks and whites than I've had from anyone else. Alright? Let's be honest. When I'm in a room full of Asian people, I fucking fit right in. I'm a little shy, but I fit right in. For the most part, they probably think I'm Hawaiian, or Samoan, or Polynesian, or Filipino. I get everything because I'm mixed, alright? So, therefore, I get it all the time. I'm happy with it. I'm okay with it. I've accepted it. But the problem down home is that I'm still a black man too. And when somebody else does something that's wrong and they're black, I gotta pay for that shit. Not like literally with money, but I have to pay for their actions because, excuse me, they fucked it up for everybody. They had a nigger moment and decided, hey, fuck everybody. We just gotta do what the fuck we want. And the price of that is we have to pay for it. Our children have to pay for it. And every other black person that is decent has to pay for you fucking up or hitting fuck it and not thinking about the consequences of what hitting fuck it really means. Now, a lot of people don't understand that, you know. And let's be fair. In a society that's predominantly white, when a white person does something, most white people just like brush that shit off like it's second hat. They do. Except for like in assassination attempts on the president or something. Because when Ronald Reagan got shot, oh believe me, white people was looking. They thought it might be a black man, but they know black people ain't that damn stupid. When they found out it was the same white man twice, which brought in the James Brady bill, you know, they were kind of fucked up, but they weren't like, okay. But they did something about it. They made a bill, they made a law, they did that shit. But then, at the end of the day, it was like, it's just one of us, you know. He did something stupid. Same thing with John Lennon when they found out that guy was white and everybody started reading Catcher in the Rye after they found out that somehow the devil, when the Catcher in the Rye book, told him he had to go kill John Lennon in front of Yoko Ono. Okay, so that might not exactly happen the way I said it, but that's what it was believed to be. The motherfucker was crazy. He was a stalker, and he killed John Lennon. And the same thing can be said for the girl that played in My Sister Sam. The same thing can be said for any stalker that has killed any actress or actor or any celebrity whatsoever. They have stalking laws for this reason. You know, and it's the same thing when a white person does something. A lot of white people look at it, it's washed away. But when a person of color does something, it's a big fucking deal in America. Now, and if it's an American doing it somewhere else, it's a big fucking deal. Ask that kid that got Singapore caned for fucking throwing stop signs through the window thinking he was Captain America or some shit. He's just, I'm just going to vandalize everybody's house because my parents got diplomatic immunity. Hey, dumbass. Your parents have diplomatic immunity. Not you. You're just visiting. They have diplomatic immunity because it's their fucking job as diplomats to make sure that they represent us and do it well. They didn't know that their 15-year-old kid would decide, hey, I'm going to be Captain Vandalism and just start fucking up everybody's shit in the neighborhood that we're staying in at this damn hotel. And by the way, that kid was white. And by the way, Singapore didn't play that shit. So when you go into a foreign country, and especially if you're an American, you better be on your best goddamn behavior. And, you know, and see, when you're in a country, all right, let's keep it real. I'm going to keep it fair. I picked on white people, I picked on black people. Let me go ahead and pick on some Asians now. if you're in a country like in Japan, they have curfew. Most of the time, in most of the big cities in Japan, your ass is in the bed. Well, not in the bed, but your ass is at home by 10 p.m. I learned about this shit, so I don't know if it's still the same, but like 10 years ago, I learned about this shit, and I was like, wow, no wonder why they have less crime. And they don't play. They have less crime because they have legal curfews that if your ass is out when you're not supposed to be out, click, click. It works for them. Same thing with China. I don't know what their legal curfew is, but I know Japan definitely has a legal curfew. And they also have strict laws on littering, which is why when you go to foreign countries and you notice how lush and beautiful the place is, because they got that shit right. They're like, yeah, we don't want people to spit their gum in the sink or the trash can or the thing. Wrap it back up in the package, then throw this shit away. They have it right. What happens in America? You step outside, somebody spit out their gum, you're spending 3 days trying to get that shit off your fucking shoe. Henceforth, you have to deal with things that we have to wait with. Where, alright, those 3 American guys that went to China and tried to steal the goddamn shades that they could have just paid for. And let's go to the more than recent young man who just passed away and his family's suing Korea now. The guy, they their family's suing him for whatever disclosed amount of money, because I don't know what it is. Days of our lives are getting good. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, the family's suing them, and they're well within their rights for they're suing them for, like, I guess misconduct or whatever, because the boy got like really bad sick and he died when he came home, or he died before he came home. I don't really know, but there's 2 things that we got to take into consideration. Not the fact that he's a white kid, but that he went with the church group and they didn't lay down some ground rules for this kid. And I'm sorry to the family because they lost their son, but I'm really pissed off that you really shouldn't be mad at Korea. You should be mad at the assholes that took your son to Korea and not gave him some kind of goddamn rules about, hey, look, we going to North Korea. They're not really American friendly, and if you're not really Asian, where they don't really know what you are, as Margaret Cho would say, you might want to just like take pictures, be a tourist, don't take anything home that you didn't pay for with a receipt. And they didn't do that, They pretty much threw the boys to the wolves and like, all right, well, let's go have fun and do whatever the hell you want. That's pretty much how that happened. And this young man supposedly tried to steal a poster, and he got caught. And then he had to deal with a year of hard time for a fucking piece of paper, man. Fuck that shit. If I'm going to a country, when I touch down on their land, the first thing I'm doing is asking, what am I not allowed to do? That way I can't fuck it up. In fact, if I go anywhere, I'm going to go somewhere where you show me what a tourist attractions is. I don't want to be more than a mile from my hotel. That way I can always go back to my hotel and just hang out there. Because that way I can't get in trouble. Now, if I get in trouble at my hotel, then I probably ask for it, But the thing with that is, he, being a young white man, because he died, is why it's such a hot potato. Where the young black men in China that stole the sunshades, them being black because they had money and were stealing, is why that's a hot potato. And these hot potato issues happen when people aren't willing to do what's right. I don't give a damn where you're at. I don't give a damn what color you are. But one of the 10 Commandments is thou shalt not steal. And he went with a church group. And this is not no fucking joke, so don't be laughing about that shit. But you went with a church group. The preacher, the first damn thing, the preacher who took them there, he should be held responsible for not telling them, look, we're going into a foreign country. We do not know their rules. And we need to mind our manners. And it's the one thing I tell everybody. No matter where you go, you mind your manners. I've been to Canada like 7 times. Canada's our neighbors. They're our friends. I love Canada. If I could buy property there, believe me, I would. But I could only live there during the summertime because it get cold as shit in Toronto. And I love Toronto. But the thing is, when I go to Canada, I make sure, especially like I I go to strip clubs. So let's just get that out there. I go to strip clubs. When I go to these strip clubs, I ask what the rules are. Okay, we can't touch them, but they can touch us. Now, when you get that lap dance, you pay yay so much money, and either the rule will change or the rule will not change, or you pay her enough money and you can do whatever the hell you want, because legally in some places prostitution is legal. I don't know how that varies in Canada. I know in America we only have one state where prostitution is legal, and that's Las Vegas, and I may have to move there. But anyway, that was a joke. But that being said, when you go into a foreign country, I don't give a fuck if you're black, white, if you're Asian, and you're going into the motherland of your ancestors, you still need to know the goddamn rules. You also need to know that what you do, and this specifically goes for us people of color, what you do, and by people of color, I'm directing this generally at black people, what you do reflects everyone else. So if you do the stereotypical black thing, you're going to fuck it up for everybody. If you do the stereotypical white thing, you're going to fuck it up for everybody. And if you're Asian and you go into an Asian country and you do the stereotypical Asian thing, I don't think anyone's going to notice unless you're like, let's say you're Chinese and you don't get along with Koreans. Or let's say you're Japanese and you don't get along with Koreans or Chinese, so you pretty much need to act on your best behavior so that it doesn't reflect badly on Japan. And Japan's a little bit more open-minded than China and Korea, but when it comes down to it, we all need to open up our eyes, talk with respect, teach respect to our children so that we don't grow up and decide, oh, okay, it's cool, I'm going to have a nigger moment and fuck it up for everybody. Can't have that. So why do we do this? We do this for the simple fact that no one is trying to correct the youth of America, and especially the youth of color. And until we do, we're going to have problems. And black people, we can't go anywhere if other black people are causing problems to stop us from being associated as humans and not just blacks that go out and cause problems. Because if you weigh the pros and cons when foreign people talk about black people, and I mean black people as in Americans, not African Americans, because we're not African Americans, we're black. So when they talk about black people, they're talking about black American people. And black Americans, when they say we're fucking up, they let us know we're fucking up. But a dude from Nigeria or Africa, they're also black in race, but they're not black in race. Let me explain that. Whoopi Goldberg said it best. If you're black and you live in America, you're black. You're not African American, you're black. Now, if you're an African who immigrates to America and you live here and you have your citizenship, you are the real African Americans. Alright? And if you guys don't like that term, I'm sorry. It's the fucking truth. I'm a half-breed. Actually, I'm a multicultural person. I'm a mutt all the way through, and I'm okay with that. And when I fill out an application, unless they say otherwise, I mark black. And sometimes, I'll be honest, I have taken a pen and scratched through the African American part and wrote black beside it. So there is a difference between blacks and African Americans, okay? And you guys don't like the way I'm saying that, and I'm not saying that you should hate Africa. I'm just saying, live in reality. If you're not from Africa, you're like 4th or 5th generation American black. You're not African American unless your ass moved from Africa to America. Then you literally are African American. And people get fucked up about that shit. And they get a raw hair. And I'll make another video about that in a minute. But in closing, the reason why we are hated by so many people in the world is because some groups of us don't want to fucking behave. And if we all learn how to behave when we go to other places, we wouldn't have any problems at all. I'm James Williams, Come Five number 2. I'm sorry I took 20 minutes of your life away from you, but it was important. Be seeing you.